New reports keep coming out that just add pure chaos to the top of the draft, and while Chicago is apparently locked in on one specific player, picks number 3 and 4 are going to be completely insane. We have to get some updates out of Anaheim, plus Montreal meeting with 2, even 3 key players that they might be able to pick in the top 5, including a surprising name. And finally, we got to start off with a surprising Martin Necas trade update, Jesse. And we're going to get into all of that on this episode of Habs Digest. And before we get into it, I'm just going to ask you guys to leave a like on the video. Last time we asked you, we got over 1,000. I don't know if it can happen again, but if you think it can and you want to help us, hit that like button. We would really, really appreciate it. Jesse, let's start with Martin Necas. This is not a huge update, but it's a very interesting one, and it comes from the Sick podcast, and we're going to put it on screen right now. And Jimmy Murphy said, while the Hurricanes forward Martin Necas could very well wind up with the New Jersey Devils, I can continue to hear that the Go Habs Go, the Habs, are still very much in on Necas. And with all the talks today, Jesse, about a 10th overall pick kind of going to Carolina for Necas, and Montreal kind of slipping slowly out of that conversation, to hear an update like this is quite interesting to me as we inch closer and closer to the draft.
That's it. We're in like the last 3 teams kind of in the race. Now is it the last 2? Is it us in New Jersey to see who wins the Necas sweepstakes here, right? It's going to be interesting to really see kind of going forward, New Jersey, they're definitely looking to be more competitive next year, but so are the Montreal Canadiens. That's the thing to keep in mind with all this. So Kent might be really serious. Seems like this is going down right to the wire.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. In Carolina, too, like, there's rumors that Gensel was going to be gone. Now they think he might be staying, but they had to, Pesci's gone, but now Teravainen is supposedly going to be gone in free agency, if they don't get a last-minute offer. So now, Jesse, I'm seeing more than ever that the Hurricanes might even want to keep Necas. It's pure chaos, cause chaos, their hashtag, but we're going to keep you updated on that whole thing, and hopefully something comes soon. Just wanted to let you guys know, but let's get into some of the big draft stuff, Jesse, and I wanted to start with this. This top 3 is getting absolutely insane, and this comes right down from the top. So there's a few things I wanted to talk about on the front of Anaheim and Chicago, which are picks 2 and 3 in this draft. Of course, whoever they pick has a huge influence on who Montreal is going to be able to pick at 5. And I want to start with something that came out of it yesterday, and it's Scott Wheeler. He said he heard Salayev and Lindstrom early on, but as time has passed, he's not convinced they'll take either. The name he's had tossed around twice now in the final hours with the Ducks is Beckett Seneca. He believes Seneca's firmly in the mix starting there, and I think the Ducks are considering him. And some other good news for Habs fans is the fact that Pierre LeBrun said the Blackhawks were getting calls on the number 2 pick, but they're telling teams that they're keeping it. And to tie this all up together, Jesse, just an hour or 2 ago, Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects said that Chicago is pretty well locked in for Artem Levshunov. That means the draft is really going to start at number 3. Now, he also goes on to say that he thinks the Ducks might even prefer Zane Parekh. But to me, it seems like now, more than ever, the Habs have the highest odds that we have seen to land one of their top guys in Demidov or Lindstrom. Like, it feels like right now, with all these rumors, the Habs might just get the number 1 guy on their list.
That would absolutely be amazing. And you got to understand, for sure, why Levshunov is so highly valued by the Chicago Blackhawks, other teams. Obviously, amazing skater, right-handed defenseman, but really his ability to think the game at the next level, his anticipation of plays, you can see why he would be such a tantalizing pick. I don't know, Josh, this is great to hear, but I'm still worried, right? We know that Chicago, they were getting some calls. I'm like, oh, are they looking to possibly trade that number 2 pick? You have to feel like Kent Hughes, he doesn't want to take any chances to get the guy that he needs. He's definitely kicking some tires on that.
Now, Chicago is very interesting. Yeah, I'm sure Kent Hughes is, because you never know, right? If you can get a guaranteed guy, especially if you have 1 or 2 guys that are above the rest, you might as well try and go to do that. But Jesse, it's, to me, the number 3 pick is where we start to see some chaos. If Beckett Seneca goes number 3, that leaves the field absolutely wide open. That means Montreal is guaranteed to have fall to them one of Cayden Lindstrom, Ivan Demidov, or Anton Salayev. And those are 3 guys that are pretty much consensus top 5 in this draft. And while I know a lot of Habs fans maybe don't want Salayev, maybe you'd prefer someone like a Boyum, even you can add him into that list, right? If Seneca goes at 3, Jesse, or even Parekh, like Cam Robinson sort of says, maybe they're interested. I feel like that door's wide open. It's just getting absolutely insane and chaotic.
For sure. With Bennett Seneca, it seems like he's the real deal. And it seems like some teams like Columbus that are also interested in Lindstrom. I'm wondering if it's because of a little bit of the injury worry that they're kind of starting to shift towards Seneca, right?
The other big guy.
Obviously, Yeah, right. Like that can skate, that has these great hands. He's a great playmaker, like as well, right? So that great vision, right? So obviously he's got a bright future ahead of himself. It's crazy to see just him climbing so much so quickly in this draft. But I mean, the more you watch the tape on him, obviously he does have the skill.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't wait to see this. And guys, don't forget, before we get into the last topic, we will be live for the NHL draft. Come share your experiences in the draft here. Come in about 6:45 Eastern. We will be live. Draft starts at 7, broadcasting all the picks. Well, we can't broadcast. We'll be talking about it. We'll be doing everything we can to make sure you guys enjoy. So we move on to the final thing, Jesse, and it's the day before the draft. And the Montreal Canadiens are having meetings and meetings and meetings, including Ivan Demidov, among some other maybe surprising names. I want to bring this up. So Marco D'Amico tweeted this. The Montreal Canadiens are expected to meet with Ivan Demidov, Kaiden Lindstrom, and Cole Yzerman today. Make of that what you will. Now, Demidov has been talked to recently, including the Sick podcast, and he had some interesting things to say about Montreal as well. He said, "We talked with Montreal all season. Tomorrow," as in today, he said this yesterday, "we're meeting again with Kent Hughes. I have good memories. I don't know how it's called. Good memories about our talk." So, Jesse, Demidov, as much as we haven't heard a whole lot about how much the Habs have been able to scout him or talk to him, but they've been in contact all season. Clearly, this is one of their goals. Maybe we can talk a bit about Demidov, and I even heard him speaking a tiny bit of French. There was 1 or 2 words there that he was trying to do. It seems like he'd be the perfect fit. The more I'm seeing clips of him recently, hearing the Habs have been talking to him. Get into him first, and I think there's another name that we're going to get into in a minute. But what do you think about Demidov as we're heading into this draft? But I think I know your thoughts.
Definitely very high on the young man. And just nice to see that there has been a dialogue kind of going on this season. Everything else, it's obviously he's not new on the radar, rightfully so. One of the most highly ranked prospects for a reason, right? I'm loving the way that everything's shaken. For me, it's like I think we would be gifted Demidov at 5, right? Just because for me, in terms of just skill, I could easily see any team before the Montreal Canadiens, except for the San Jose Sharks, for going for Ivan Demidov there, right? So this would be honestly, this would be a dream come true. And I'm really hoping that that's what happens tomorrow.
Do you think Carey Price walks up on stage just as Ivan and turns around like he did last year because he forgets the last name? What are the odds of that happening?
Right. Well, what's interesting is that there is a connection between Carey Price and also Kaiden Lindstrom, who's also First Nation as well, right? So kind of nice coming into the team, kind of having some of those familiarities already. Everything, just a side note, but definitely interesting to take into account.
All right, Jesse, last thing for today. I'm sure a lot of people saw one of those names. They probably saw a person, well, depending on the thumbnail that you're seeing, you might have seen him in there as well, and that's Cole Yzerman. That's an interesting name, Jesse. It's a name we've talked about a lot. It's not a name I expected the Habs to be interviewing the day before the draft, and there's 2 schools of thought on this. There's one school of thought that says he could potentially be a target at 5. You get the pure best goal scorer in the draft, and you roll with that because that's a big team need. But I'm hearing a lot more chatter, nothing concrete, but a lot more chatter that Montreal is aiming to trade up into the teens, potentially to get Cole Yzerman. And there was a rumor came out today, trading into the top 8 is basically impossible for the price. But we did see San Jose trade up from 14 to 11 with Buffalo. So I'm thinking a trade up into those teams that target him is maybe not off the table. Are you in the school of thought that they're just kind of doing their due diligence as having him maybe a final candidate at number 5? Or does this indicate to you that something else might just be cooking?
Right. I would love to see Kent make a move to kind of get within that 10 to 15 range. I mean, we did see him do something similar before, right? Where we traded Romanov. We then traded that pick, right, for Dach, but we could do something where we're just trading for the pick and actually using it. I'm really high on this player. If we could kind of do something with that 26 overall, you have to feel like there's something there within our system with that pick to move up, right? And for me, this is an intriguing player. We know Kent watches a lot of U.S. hockey, so he has to be thinking about this.
I mean, I think they are thinking, and I think it'd be a disservice not to think. And I don't think this means anything super concrete. I'm seeing a lot of Habs fans just say, but what is it? You can make inferences. The Habs have interviewed so many people over the last couple of drafts, and do you guys remember everyone they interviewed? No, because a lot of the guys that they interviewed, they ended up not picking. They can only pick one guy at the end of the day, and some guys they don't even take out to dinner. So it is what it is. It's going to be extremely interesting, and a final reminder to tune in here tomorrow night, 6:45 p.m. Eastern. We will be live streaming a reaction to to the 2024 NHL draft. Montreal's pick at 5th, and maybe some more, Jesse, if all things go that way. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.